I don't believe the dream I just had. I was in a forest, running barefoot. I was hurt, and I was being followed by somebody, and well, the more I ran, the more I could sense him coming closer.
Who was the guy stalking you?
It wasn't a guy. It was me. That's the weirdest part. It was me running after me.
Hello and welcome to Two Guys, One Necronomicon, a weekly horror review podcast where we deep dive into all things horror. We talk about your cult classics to your modern day trash, and today we will be talking about a French film, High Tension.
Or Haute Tension, or Switchblade Romance.
What's that?
It's the alternate American name for this movie. The English name.
Wow, that's terrible.
Switchblade Romance?
Not really a fan.
Okay.
High Tension, I think they nailed it with High Tension.
And as you already know, we are your hosts, Brian Hopwood LaGrassa and Shane Smith.
It's probably my favorite one you've given me so far because it wasn't misleading to the people listening. What even was that noise supposed to be?
Dying dolphin.
Okay. Shane the Dying Dolphin Smith.
And today we are doing a very, very special episode for everyone living in Europe.
Yes.
Well, not everybody in Europe.
Just people living in France.
That's right. Or Romania, where High Tension was actually filmed.
Correct. But it is a French film from a French director. Is he French?
He is French. Alexandre Aja? I actually don't know if he's French or not, but I will tell you something. He definitely directed Mirrors.
I can tell you another thing. He definitely directed Piranha 3D.
Yes, that's right. Did he direct Mirrors? Because I do know there's an actor in this movie.
Okay.
He plays in the gas station.
Jimmy?
Jimmy's a director. Jimmy directed P2.
Really?
Yeah.
Great Wes Bentley film.
It was either him or Alexandre Aja that did Mirrors. You're going to have to give me a fact check on that.
I am currently fact checking right now. But for those who haven't seen P2 and are big Wes Bentley fans from great films like American Beauty and Ghost Rider, highly recommend P2.
I actually have not seen P2. What is it like? Just some guy getting chased around in a parking lot for an entire
No,
movie?
it's some girl getting chased around in a parking lot, and the guy chasing her is Wes Bentley.
And the girl getting chased is
Rachel Nichols.
that famous ESPN...
No, not that one. But, yeah, it is an actress named Rachel Nichols. Believe she was in other movies, but for some reason the movie that comes to my mind is Rage with Nicolas Cage.
She's in Rage with Nicolas Cage?
Yes.
The Raging Cage?
The Raging Cage, yes.
I think Danny Glover's in that movie. If you haven't seen that movie, don't.
You definitely do not. That is a really, really... It's not even a fun Nick Cage film.
No. So today, we'd like to talk about some movies that we've recently watched, because we've been recently watching some French horror movies.
This is correct. Before we get into that, he did direct Mirrors.
Oh, Alexander?
Yeah.
Interesting.
He also was the producer for P2.
Yeah, I think these guys are friends.
They have to be, considering they seem to just keep working on each other's films.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some of the films we've been watching. For those of you listening, me and Brian, we create movie lists.
That is true.
We create originally a list of 80 horror movies to watch.
This is like... Well, actually, we go way, way back. This was like 6 years ago.
Yes.
And then we gave up on the list.
We did, because we were having a hard time getting access to movies.
Yeah. So then we stopped for like 2 years, but we would still watch movies on and off, just not sticking to the list, because we've been watching movies since going back to high school.
Yes.
Which is over 10 years ago. 4 years ago is when we really started capitalizing on that list of 80 movies. We finished it in probably like a year.
Yes, once we actually got set to, we would meet up once a week to watch 1 or 2 movies. And then we're like, all right, let's go big. We created a second list with 202 movies. And you're wondering why we didn't just stop at 200? It's because we thought of 2 more to add to the list.
That's true. Some late additions.
Yes. We are currently down to the final 50 movies for this list.
And it's cool because sometimes when you make these lists, you're watching movies twice or maybe even the third time. Mm-hmm. But it's also interesting because you get to appreciate it more.
Yes.
On your second or third watch. And I would say that now we're coming to the point where, like, we've seen almost everything that we really needed to see.
Yes. We have seen some of the most horrific horror films you could possibly watch, just hard to watch films like Sallow or like Sweet Movie that we've seen like now, like The Exorcist, the Hellraiser series, all those like classics, and then we've just seen some crap like Truth or Dare or
like
Smiley or The Gallows or
pretty much anything that we can get our hands on horror wise, and we're really exploring as much as we can. And now that we've seen just about as much as the most hardcore, realistic, disturbing type raw films like Cannibal Holocaust,
a Serbian film.
I mean, we may go back to them. I don't know if we review them for this podcast. Would probably be the only reason why.
Yeah, there's a few of those I'm not ever watching again unless we have to review it here.
Yeah, so the one we watched most recently, we watched it last Saturday, was Sweet Movie, and that was a trip.
I don't even know how to describe it.
It's certainly not a horror, but it felt horrific watching it.
Yes, because it's a movie that doesn't really have a plot.
No.
I'm sure it's apparently a political satire for the time in Europe, but don't know the political stances during that time, so I didn't get it.
Yeah,
but
they like insert these like propaganda things like mid-movie, and we're like, what the hell is this? Because obviously we're not cultured, or we're not centered in that time, that we can't really...
So I don't want to like talk about it because I don't really know the situation, but what I can tell you is there are some scenes in that movie that are absolutely disgusting.
So like, in horror movies, it's gore, and then there's an element of just, being creepy and scared and jump scares. There's certain things that get you. In these shocking movies, it's just gross stuff.
Yeah, like people throwing up on each other or...
pooping everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like...
Poop is a common theme in these.
This element of shock that just like people like either rave or just like, what is the director trying to portray here? Does he think we're kind of some kind of sucker that we just think that this is something brilliant, or is it brilliant? Is it garbage?
Yeah. Is it just a bunch of jumbled mess to gross you out?
Yeah, I kind of come to the same conclusion every time I watch one of these movies, where I just think, these guys are so superficial. This is just gross stuff, and it's really never as deep as it intends to be. And we do the plunge. We always look at what they mean.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going deep like a Harmony Korine film,
Awful.
But I don't know about that.
Awful.
But then, like, just talking about stuff to shock you, another one we just recently watched was Necromantic, and that movie exists just strictly to gross you out.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like, honestly, like a college film project. It was like late 1980s, shot in black and white, and some dude and his wife were just digging up bodies and having sex with them.
Yeah, that is a fascinating movie. Not in a good way. It's just interesting to see. Let's actually talk about a horror movie that isn't just trying to shock you with gross stuff, but it's got good suspense, it's got really good gore, high tension.
Absolutely. This is a horror first, a slasher, which is awesome, because I don't think we've done a slasher yet on this podcast.
No. Unfriended, no. Green Inferno, no. Girl Woke Someone Like, definitely not.
Wait, honestly, what was the last good slasher you've seen?
Friday the 13th, the remake?
The remake, okay.
I actually don't hate the remake of the Friday the 13th movie, just throwing it out there. But no, in terms of a slasher, I don't know, they don't really make good slashers anymore.
So I know High Tension was made in like 2003.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, You're Next.
Yeah.
You're Next is a good slasher film.
Yeah, that's true.
I would consider You're Next a slasher.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That You're Next is a very good film.
But I would say that this is probably the best slasher I've seen since that I can remember, at least. I'm not overselling it. I don't think it was particularly a great movie. I just think it was thought-provoking. You know, for a slasher.
Yeah, no, it's not great, but it's not even mediocre. But it's a good movie. It's like right at that good cusp.
I would say that there is Friday the 13th can't be fun good, and then there's like Your Nipples on a Tuesday good, and it was right nudged in between Your Nipples and Summer Camp.
Yes, yeah, everything you just said. High Tension is just a trend for me of just really enjoying French horror films. Like, one of my favorite all-time horror films is Inside, which is also a French film.
Yeah, that movie really hit me. Talk about gore.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
And like, just cringe gore, because it's like the way they cut certain parts are like... Oh.
And if you're thinking about a mother, that's like the overarching fear. Not only that they would lose their baby, imagine having it literally cut and stolen from you.
Yes. So, for people that don't know the movie Inside is a horror film where a pregnant woman is home alone, and another woman and two guys try to break into her home and cut her baby out of her stomach.
It is so sick.
But it is also it's excellent. It's not just like a gross out film.
Yeah,
it is really, really good.
It's very good. It's also probably one of my favorite French horrors.
Yeah. It hits different, as the kids say.
So with that being said, let's talk some High Tension.
Yes.
High Tension, as I mentioned, was directed by Alexandre Aja. I want to say it's Aja or Aja. I don't want to mispronounce it. It stars Cécile de France as Mary, who's our protagonist. Mawen, she's got no last name, just Mawen, as Alex. And the great Philip Nahan, who has like over 222 plus acting credits to his IMDb resume, plays the killer.
Yes. I just referred to him as the guy the whole time I was watching
The
this.
guy?
Yeah.
I think IMDb has him listed, or the credits has him listed as Latour.
There is one scene later on. He's in the convenience store with Jimmy, and Jimmy refers to him as that name.
Really?
Yes.
But this guy's got like a track record. Do you know about some of the movies he's done?
Absolutely.
Do you know that movie I Stand Alone with the Gaspar Noé movie?
Yes.
He's the main character.
Really?
Yeah. He's also in Irreversible, so he's in multiple Gaspar Noé.
Who's he in Irreversible?
I don't remember. I just know he's top 3 or 4 billed, I think, in the movie.
Irreversible, another great movie.
Oh my gosh, so
actually,
good.
amazing movie. Has one of the most brutal scenes I've ever seen in film. But overall, this is a great film.
Yeah, that's a shocking scene, but like one that like really sits on you.
Yeah, because you're like, okay, this will be like a 2-minute scene.
It like sits on you in the middle of a tunnel and really sits on you in that tunnel.
Yeah,
and that red.
That's one
red.
way to say it. Yeah, that scene goes on for about 10 minutes.
Speaking of red, deep red, the summary of this movie is 2 friends head to the French countryside for a weekend of studying when they are interrupted by a ruthless killer.
And that's all you need to know, because this guy is very ruthless, and the entire movie is just basically country scenery. They go from different locations just seeing woods.
Yeah. That's how the movie... Well, actually, no, the movie actually opens up with our main character. You see the back of her head, and she's in a mental institution.
She kind of, I guess, has a flashback of her running in the forest or woods, bloody.
Yeah, she's very bloody. She's running through the woods, and you could tell she's like bleeding through her abdomen, and she kind of jumps out in the middle of the street right in front of a car.
Yes, and she taps on the window, and as soon as she taps on the window, she wakes up in the car with her friend.
And her friend Alex, who's driving, and she mentions to Alex that she had this weird dream that she was in. She kind of reiterates the dream that she was running through the forest. And then she mentions, she's like, it's very weird because it was me chasing after me.
Not something you normally dream about.
So I was like, whoa, I'm in for it.
You're all about it.
I'm in deep, Shane.
All right. Because I'm in, too, at this point. I'm curious to see why she's chasing herself.
Oh, you're in. You've been in.
I have actually been in France.
That's true. Shane has been to France.
Yes.
He's also been to Amsterdam.
Yes, and I've also been to Belgium.
That is true. Red.
So we're just throwing all that out there.
That's a story for another time. Okay.
It's not a story for the podcast.
I don't know where they get onto the topic. I guess they talk about some time they spent together at school, and they get into the topic of Alex fooling around with this guy. Marie calls her kind of like a slut because she like ditched her and spent like hours with this guy.
Which I don't think makes her a slut, to be fair.
No, but we do find out that this guy has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, no. If you go by Alex's logic, she's not interested in a guy that's single, because that's a little sketchy. She wants someone that's already wanted by someone else.
She can't trust someone that's single.
Exactly. Which, I mean, is it flawed logic? Maybe a little, but it kind of makes sense.
Okay. What they're doing and why they're actually breaking away from college. Again, 2 weeks in a row, movies where kids break away from college. To go to a secluded area.
Yes.
They're going to Alex's family's country home. They just moved there. They've been there living there for like 6 months, and they don't really know French, I think they mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like learning French, but that's where they're going, and they're not going to party. They're getting away from that kind of lifestyle.
They're just going for a nice little retreat. They even brought their school books.
They're going to study. That's actually the goal.
To study.
To study.
So they drive through what seems to be like a cornfield at night.
Yeah, well, because they're actually driving straight, and then Alex is just like, no, let's cut through the cornfield.
Yes, that's what, yeah.
It's quicker, and you just go like 4 kilometers down the cornfield, and there's literally, it's 7 feet tall corn. I could be exaggerating. It's very tall.
It's very tall.
And then just a small patch of dirt road. There's a straight line, and that's what they go through.
So now before we see them get to the house, we cut to the house. We see the mom hanging up the clothes. We see a little boy running in a cowboy suit, right? He was wearing?
Yeah, and he needs to show this cowboy suit to his sister for some reason. He's very excited
It's a
about
good
it.
cowboy suit.
This is kind of like how excited you get when you go to Amsterdam.
No.
Because you're hitting up and then...
So you see the mom, you see the boy in the little cowboy suit, and then pans to this truck that's sitting outside of the house area, just off to the distance. They don't see it, and you see this weird-looking gentleman getting head in the front seat, and then you find out he's literally getting head because he takes the head and dumps it out of the window.
And I'm like, wow, I didn't know Al Snow was in this movie.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. What does everybody want?
Head.
Okay, and then we cut back to the two girls in the car at night now.
Correct.
In the cornfield.
A scene later, it's dark. For some reason, Alex stops the car and runs into the cornfield. Why? I guess you gotta do it once in your life, even though...
Well, I think she says she thinks she saw someone.
That's right. She says she thinks she saw someone, so she darted out into the cornfield.
Because that's what I do. When I'm driving through a dark cornfield at night and think I see someone, I stop my car and get out. Yeah, it's like the only logical thing to do, right?
Of course.
Marie's like, all right, let me go find Alex. She's been gone a while.
She's calling out her name. She gets no response. I don't even think she gets crickets. I don't think she gets cicadas. I think she gets silence.
Yeah, silence would be the bug of choice here. No response, and then you just hear the car turn on, and Alex starts to dart away.
It's just a dart away. And then she's chasing after her, and then eventually she stops the car, and Alex is laughing, and they have a really good time, and they drive back to the house. Mary's driving this time, and when they get there, Alex introduces Mary to her father and her little brother. So Marie goes upstairs to the room that Alex designated for her. Alex goes in and tucks her brother to bed because he was waiting up for her. Alex hears her mother come home. So she kind of rattles off downstairs. Marie puts her stuff down in her room, the room that she'll be spending the night in. And then the scene actually does transition to Marie and Alex, actually, in the kitchen.
Yes, they're talking about the boy again.
They're having boy talk, and this is where you actually do find out that Alex's boyfriend is seeing somebody else.
Why is it Alex's boyfriend yet? It's just a guy she's
You're
like
right.
talking to.
It's just some.
Yeah.
It's just some dude. But then
She wants him to be his boyfriend, her boyfriend, though.
I like how Marie keeps calling her a slut.
She's really drilling that home, and I don't think it's fair by Marie.
I think Marie cares about Alex a little bit.
Yeah, well, a little too much. Alex says she's going to go to bed. Marie says, all right, I'm going to go smoke first. So she goes outside. She's sitting on the swing. She's, smoking a cigarette. And she looks up to the top window.
Yeah, and at this point, she's smoking this one real dry.
Yeah. But someone is not dry, and that's Alex, who has the window wide open and is taking a shower.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I read that it wasn't even a real shower.
Really?
Some dude was just pouring water on her.
That's right, because they filmed this not at a house. It was like an abandoned mill or something.
Correct. So it was like some really bad part of like Romania that just looked like France, so they shot it there. But like the way they shot this scene was they had her like stand on top of something. So like when she's like looking up, she's like heightened towards the ceiling. Like it's
and then there's just a guy pouring a bucket of water on her.
Yeah, it's upward angle, and some dude just pouring water on. Imagine how awkward that is to film.
That's very awkward. Marie's just staring at Alex showering. She's just like watching her. And this is when you get the first maybe she's into Alex.
Maybe she is. Maybe she is.
Marie finishes her cigarette, or Alex finishes showering, so she's done with the show. So she goes back inside.
And you actually see the lights of what appears to be a vehicle
Approaching.
Marie heads upstairs. She sits on her bed for a while, and we can kind of hear the wind howling through the house. You had like a nice little eerie score before. That's softened up now, but you can just hear this wind blowing through, rustling through the cornfield. But she puts her headphones on. She's like, I'm not listening to the wind right now.
Nah, I got better things to do than listen to the wind.
She does, and she gets a little zip zip.
She slowly starts to reach down, and while listening to the music, she just kind of starts smacking one off.
Just really going after it.
Yeah.
Is it time? It's not time.
No.
No PBs here.
No.
No peanut butter and jelly.
No. I wouldn't consider this. There's not really passion. She's just kind of having some fun. A little nightly fun with herself.
There's a little moaning, though. It's a little bit more than
There's a little moaning.
What do you think she's thinking about?
I think she's thinking about Alex.
The nude scene?
Yeah.
Unreal.
Unreal. So anyway, while she's doing that, the truck approaches.
And once the truck approaches, she finishes. She hits her climax at that moment.
Yes. Timed perfectly to the guy getting out of the truck, pretty much.
Correct. And the dog is barking nonstop as they hear a little ring-a-ding-ding on the doorbell.
Yes. Alex's dad gets up. The mom stays in bed. Alex doesn't hear anything that happens because she has earplugs in.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Alex's dad just seems like a really good guy. The kind of guy that's going to take you to a baseball game, and he's going to pay for your hot dog.
Exactly. He's got a really good head on his shoulders.
That's true. Nice.
Thank you. Guy rings the door. Dad walks down the stairs in a great pajama set.
But Marie does kind of hear it.
Marie hears it. I was saying Alex doesn't hear it.
Yeah, Marie hears it. She kind of jumps out of bed. She's very curious of why, in the middle of basically nowhere, the doorbell is ringing.
Exactly. Dad opens the door, instantly gets hit in the nose with a hammer.
It's not a hammer, Shane.
What is it then?
It's a straight razor.
Really?
Yes, because this serial killer does not kill with conventional slashing weapons. He kills with a straight razor.
I know he uses the straight razor throughout the next couple of scenes.
I thought he just sliced him in the face with a straight razor.
I know that would make sense, actually. Why would he have a hammer and then move to the straight razor? Yeah, okay. My eyesight is not what it once was.
Jane, it's don't worry about it. So, yeah, he's like screaming, obviously.
Yeah.
The dog's going nuts, and it's a shame, because if you're a dog lover...
The dog's dead.
Super dead. Because this killer hates dogs. He hates them.
Yeah.
He told me. So the killer just boots Alex's father's head and puts it...
right in between, like, the railings of the banister.
Yeah. So he's, like, locked into the staircase banister, so he can't go anywhere.
But you know what can move? The desk.
And this is a husky guy. This guy's got some weight behind him. He can move some stuff.
Yeah. So he just takes this desk and slides it super fast, taking Alex's dad's head clean off.
I am no scientist. I'm no physicist. But this thing was going 275 miles an hour.
I'm going to have to agree. It was almost breaking Mach 5.
I agree.
And now, if you're a gore fan, his head comes off, and it just starts shooting blood like you're watching Kill Bill. And then it pans to a reaction shot of Marie. Then goes back to the body, and more blood is just shooting out of this neck.
Now, I don't remember. Marie sees this happen?
I don't know if she sees it happen, but she acts like she knows exactly what's happening. Because she keeps reacting as everything happens.
Correct. I do know that Alex's mother wakes up, and she does see her husband just headless on the floor.
More blood just shooting out. And then she just freezes.
She freezes, and she looks straight ahead.
At the guy.
At the guy. And unintentionally, there is this light that just, you can't even, it's so distorted.
You can't see the guy's face. You can't see
his face. And that was actually, I thought that was intentional. It was unintentional. It just kind of happened, and the director was like, wink. We're going with it.
Funny you say that, because there's a scene later in the movie towards the end where something unintentional happens, but he leaves in the film, which we'll get to when we get there. But yeah, so the mother just freezes. As this guy approaches her, she never moves.
She just
stays there. And you hear her screaming, and then you go back to Marie reacting to, like, what is happening.
She's upstairs, and she just hears Alex's mother literally screaming at the top of her lungs for her life. And I think that they did a cool job of building up this killer, because he's like, you can't really see much of his face.
No.
His eyes are like hidden by this cap. He's wearing this like green like a jumpsuit.
It's a jumpsuit, I would say.
And he doesn't really talk much throughout the movie. He kind of just smirks and grins.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really sick dude, and the guy played him really well. Marie's trying to do is she's trying to move the wardrobe.
Yes.
So isn't she trying to remove the plug?
So at this point, after the whole mom scene happens, Marie's like, okay. She's looking for a phone. She sees an unplugged phone at the top of the wardrobe, grabs it, and then she's trying to move the wardrobe, I think, to get to the outlet.
The outlet.
But then she hears the guy walking up the stairs. It looks like then attempts to try to get the wardrobe in front of the door.
Yeah, she does get it, and then she
can't.
So what she does is she tries to make it like nobody was ever there.
Exactly.
Like he's already seen everybody in the house. So she kind of like cleans the bed. You know, she goes in the bathroom. She cleans the sink.
Yes, because she had used the sink earlier to drink water, so she wants the sink to look as dry as possible.
I don't know if it was just me, but the killer was taking a very long time to get there after we clearly heard him walking up the stairs.
Oh yeah, he's a slow walker.
But tell you what, he is cold, he is calculated, and he's coming in this room.
Yes, which he does. Now, they leave the shot off with Marie where you think she's hiding in the shower.
Correct.
He gets in, he's looking around the room, goes into the bathroom. Now, this guy's smart. He's touching the sink. He's like, dry. Gives the faucet a little fingering. It's a little bit of liquid that comes out. It's moist.
It's moist. It's moister than you and soggy bread. So he knows something's up.
Yeah, he does.
He goes to open the shower. What do you call that? Like a covering? The shower...
A curtain.
Shower curtain.
Yeah, that would be the correct word.
Shower covering. He removes the shower curtain, quick turn, and she's not there.
No. She got a better hiding spot. Now, this is unintentionally one of the funniest scenes in the movie. So he then leaves the bathroom, and he's like doing one last look around, and he just lifts up the bottom half of the bed, and she's not there, puts it down and leaves, and then you just see under the bed, she's crawled up in a ball. So she was under the top half. I just thought it was funny that if he would have just ripped the whole bed thing off, but he's a neat killer.
Yeah, he is. He's a neat killer, even though he does kind of...
leave a mess everywhere, I know.
But he gives this one where he keeps thinking he hears something, so he keeps looking around, gives it another sweep, and then eventually he leaves.
Yes.
And then the scene transitions. Alex is sleeping in her bed, but she's not alone.
No, she is not.
Because this killer stands alone many years before in that Gaspar Noé movie, but now he's here, standing with Alex.
Very clever.
And running his hands through her delicate black hair.
Yes. And then he ties her up.
I mean, he does run the straight razor around her neck. That's when she wakes up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know why she wouldn't wake up. Actually, when I'm sleeping, I would wake up with anybody in the general vicinity of me.
I can vouch that that's not true. I've seen you fall asleep on an uncomfortable plastic chair with both your feet hanging over a drawer, and I said, Brian, and you slept through it all.
This is the words of a 7-beer deep Shane right now.
That's also not true.
I've seen you just cracking Guinness after Guinness after Guinness after Guinness, and you're spouting this heresy.
Heresy, we're calling it these days. None of that is true, by the way. We were just watching Resolution. No, that Resolution was another one you fell asleep during. This time we were watching The Road.
Yeah, that was, should not have fell asleep for that movie.
No, that's a great movie. But none of that matters right now. Marie then realizes the phone plug doesn't work, right? It's like broken.
Nope. Tries the phone. The phone doesn't work.
Yes. So then she runs downstairs and she goes into the parents' room. And she's looking for a phone that she can't find. So she hides in the closet because she hears someone coming. The mom crawls in and instantly finds the phone. Obviously, it's her home. She knows where the phone is. But it's not like the phone was hidden. It was in a very obvious spot.
Yeah, so this is kind of a cool shot. You're kind of looking at like a POV shot from like Mary. And she's just staring at the mother.
Marie.
Marie. I never say Marie. What is Marie from? Breaking Bad? Marie?
Marie.
Yeah. And the killer is slowly walking behind.
They're not rocks, they're minerals, Marie.
Marie. Slowly walking behind the mother, who doesn't even, like, hear him, I guess? No. He takes the straight razor, and he doesn't slice her throat. He makes a Pez dispenser out of her.
He lifts her up, has her face the closet that Marie is hiding in, and, like Brian said, Pez dispensers the throat, where it, like, slowly opens and just pours out, and, like...
And it's crazy because not only does he cut the throat, like, really deep, he pulls the head back.
Yes.
It's
so
like,
that's
so cringeworthy.
Yes. And then she falls down, and then he just starts carving something off, because you see blood shooting onto the door of the closet. You don't know if he, like, cut her head off, or what he did, but he finishes up, and then he leaves the room. Marie comes out of the closet... You just see he cut her hand off with the phone still in her hand.
She goes over and kind of examines her body, and she's lifeless, except that she gives this last, like, urge, says something to her. It's very inaudible because half her neck is gone, and then she just fades away. I think she tries the phone again, and it does not work.
It does not. Marie leaves the bedroom, and she goes to Alex's room, where she sees that Alex is chained to the bed, and she's like, trying to get the chains and can't. And then you hear the little boy outside yelling, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy." Alex looks like disturbed, and Marie looks out the window.
I have questions here.
Well, let me hear.
Why does he just dart in the middle of the cornfields?
I have no idea. It's the one thing that's kind of weird. You never hear the boy wake up despite all these grisly murders happening in the house. Why is just now the boy running around outside yelling "Mommy"? That is obviously questions you have to ask in this scene. But regardless of that, you then see the man grab a shotgun from the back of his car, and he follows the boy into the cornfield, and unfortunately you hear 2 shots go off.
And it's really sad because you just see he's kind of crawling through the cornfield, you get 2 gunshots. Alex is continuously bawling as Marie's trying to console her, trying to ask her, hey, where's the phone? Where's the phone? Where's the phone? And she's like non-responsive.
Yes.
She's screaming, and she remains tied up. I think she's got like a cloth gag in her mouth.
It looked like a rubber tube, almost like a hose, like not a green garden hose, like a yellow one. And it's at that point when Marie's like, "I'll go to the kitchen to look for."
And she tries the phone. There's no dial tone because the cord's been cut out.
Correct.
Because this killer is crafty. And now the killer carries Alex's body.
Yes.
Not dead body, but body, out to his truck, puts her in the back of his truck, and she's looking right at Marie, who's hiding. After Alex is put in the back of the truck, the killer decides he needs one more sweep of the house.
Yes, he does.
He needs to examine every nook and cranny of this French house.
And while he does that, Marie gets into the back of the truck with Alex. Now, what the guy's doing in the house is he's doing his sweep, but he finds a family photo.
And you always look at the family photo, Shane. And I know you. The first time I met you, first of all, you came over to my house, you chucked the football out the window, and then you looked at the family photos.
Exactly. And then what did I do? I cracked it with my hands and then cut your face out. And then I put it on the visor of my car.
And that's what this killer is going to do. He cuts out Alex's face, pockets it, and then, as you mentioned, Marie sneaks outside into the truck. The killer moves back towards the truck because he's ready to tail this one out.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes. It's simple, but it's pretty cool. Marie actually has a knife that she had taken from the kitchen. She's getting ready to stab the guy as soon as he comes to the back of the truck. But he doesn't even look. He just slams the door right in her face.
It's funny. This is intense. She's actually holding this knife. You think it's for like almost like 10 seconds.
Yes, because you're like, oh my god, they're going to have like a fight this early.
So like this is that high tension they're talking about.
Exactly.
This is what they were selling us on the high tension, the switchblade romance. And then he shuts the door in our faces.
I still hate that title. The Switchblade romance title. I think it's kind of dumb, but it doesn't matter. What does matter is that he now just gets into the truck and starts driving off.
Now, you can say that he starts the engine. I'm going to say he cocks the engine, because this is the kind of guy that would cock something.
Oh, yeah. No, he's all about cocking things.
And they're driving down the dirt road.
And where does that dirt road lead them?
Tijuana, Mexico.
No, the correct answer is Jimmy.
Jimmy. And as they're kind of leaving the French countryside, out through the dirt road, you see the camera pan to the cornfields where Tom's body is just shown dead with a large, gaping gunshot wound in his back. And Daniel, who's Alex's father, is just, again, the headless horseman on the floor, the bottom of the staircase, and Marie. Marie looks at the ceiling at the back of the truck, and she notices blood splatter.
All over the back of the truck.
At the top of the truck, the sides of the truck, and she says something that is just so interesting. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What does she say?
She mentions the other girls were alone, but they have 2 of them. They have an advantage. And I'm like, what? Where does she know other girls?
From what I take of that is that she's assuming, since there's so much blood back there, that he's been doing this for a while. But I get what you're saying. Well, why does she assume it's always girls or like...
How did you know it's a singular girl?
Yes, that's also a good point. He could have like 3 at a time.
As you mentioned earlier, the killer puts the picture of Alex on his collage of women in his truck. He has like kind of like near his dashboard area. When he drives, we can only really see his mouth, like as I mentioned. And he's got a smirk. He's got a real smirk on his face.
He's got a real mouth on him.
And he starts to drink, and he's playing this really classy, romantic French song. I'm like, this is kind of hot.
So he keeps driving. He keeps drinking while driving. Don't do that.
No, definitely
And then
not.
he stops at a gas station. Jimmy's gas station. He gets out. He starts filling up the gas tank. Marie breaks open the back with the knife that she had from the kitchen.
Yeah.
So the door's open. She then gives the knife to Alex, and she says, if I don't come back, use this. And she sneaks her way into the gas station.
Yeah, she opens the door, she sees Jimmy, and she kind of just, like, falls to her, like, backside in, like, almost, like, physical fatigue and exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
She tells the store clerk, call the police.
You have
call
to
the
help.
police.
Yeah.
And then she just actually runs and hides in the back of the store, and then enters Latour.
He goes, hi, Jimmy. Like, they've been best buds for years.
And they know each other, which is so interesting. He's native to this area.
Yes.
Or at least he's been here for a little while.
Because they're talking a little bit.
Spark a little conversation.
He tries on some sunglasses. He's like, how do I look in these, Jimmy?
Yeah. He's like, this store is the ideal place to bring back some girls.
Yeah, they do say that.
And the store owner's like, well, if I did, my boss would fire me.
And he's like, yeah, but those old single ladies, old widows that come down this way, I'm sure they're all over you. At this point, while he's trying on the glasses too, Jimmy notices Latour's hand is filled with blood.
Yeah, he's getting a little nervous.
Yes, because then the guy's even like, hey, Jimmy, I get these for protection, right? Or something.
Yeah. He asked if they're good protection, and the clerk asked, well, from what?
And he's like, the sun. Which, great humor.
Really good.
From a guy who just murdered an entire family.
Then the clerk starts, like, reaching for a gun. I could be wrong here, but I think the killer kind of, as he's, like, turning the sunglasses rack,
yes.
He spins the rack, and he can kind of see the reflection.
Which is why I think that's why he asked him to get him some whiskey from the back.
And he's like, you know what? I'm not ready to check out just yet. I want some alcohol from the back. So Jimmy, of course,
being the upstanding man that he is, goes to get the alcohol. He turns around after getting it and hits Jimmy right in the chest with an axe.
Yeah. Now this is the axe. Like, this is the slice him in the chest axe.
Oh yeah, it's like a chopping wood axe, like a thick axe. He keeps like wiggling it.
Can't get it out. Yeah.
And so Jimmy falls on top of it, and to make the scene even more brutal, Latour, the guy, steps on Jimmy's back, pushing him the axe deeper into his chest.
Brutal. The sound effects are just
it's
cringy.
all like squishing and crunching.
It's a pretty cool scene though, because I believe the security footage catches the whole thing.
Yeah, well, Latour even looks directly at the security camera.
He gives 0 Fs.
Yes.
He flips the store sign to closed, but he doesn't lock the door, which is so interesting.
By the way, Maria has watched all of this take place.
Yeah. Killer turns out the lights, and because he's shutting down the store.
That's right.
Exits out and into like a nearby, I guess, underground area where there's like a restroom.
Yeah. Very interesting that you need to go to the underground tunnel to get to the bathroom.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of funny. Kind of. I feel like in America we need more underground tunnels to get to our restrooms.
Mary, she's like hiding in the last stall of the bathroom. The killer obviously is going to hear something outside. He starts looking. Looking. He's suspicious. He thinks something's amok.
Of course.
We're going to go with that word that I said, right? We're going to go with amok. Okay.
Yeah, I like amok. It's a good word. It's also a good Pokemon.
Yeah, so he starts smacking through every bathroom stall, and he gets to the last stall, and he smacks it open, and nothing's there. But then he's like, you know what? Let me check the other gender bathroom. And he goes in there, and he starts slapping through the doors of that bathroom. And he decides to, I got to take a leak.
A busy night of killing, it, works up your bladder. You got to pee. Got to let it all out. And then he leaves.
He doesn't check her stall.
No.
She does what every person would do at this point. Drink straight from the faucet. Because she's thirsty.
Yeah, no, I would drink straight. That's the second scene where she drinks straight from the faucet. Must be a thing. She slowly makes her way out of the bathroom. A little too slow, because by the time she gets to the front of the convenience store, Latour takes off with his truck and Alex.
He's out. He's gone. Bye-bye.
Now, what's interesting here is now Marie grabs the gun. And then she also grabs his Firebird. Even though I don't know if that's a Firebird. What kind of car was it?
It's a sports car.
Yeah, it's some kind of, yeah. So then she just puts the pedal to the metal to chase after him in one of the best musical scores where it's like a 5 to 7 minute driving sequence of just listening to Born Again or Newborn by Muse.
Yeah. The music's awesome, too.
Yeah.
Like, the music throughout the movie, the score's really good. It's really tense. It's really unnerving. We didn't mention that she does call the cops when she's in the store.
That's right. That's right before she grabs the gun.
Just a quick call to the cops. She gets a little frustrated because they're
asking her where she is, and she doesn't know. And she's like, I don't know where I am.
I mean, she's in the middle of France, right? But yeah, so there's a car chasing scene through the woods now. And what's interesting about this scene is she did all the stunt, like, chasing for the most part in this scene.
Really?
Yeah.
That is kind of cool. While they're doing that, the guy is pouring his alcohol onto Alex in the back, and then he lights a match, and he makes it like he's just going to light her up.
Yeah.
But he's like...
he's taunting her, he's mocking her. And Marie, like, she's, like, driving, and doesn't she, like, look really tired? Like, and she's just, like, nodding off, and she, like, I think she loses sight of him.
So this is the thing that happens. They're going down a regular road. Then she sees him pull off into a dirt road. She drives past it to, like, let him go. She then turns her headlights off, backs up, and then follows him. But like you said, she starts to nod off and loses track of him. Now, this is another thing. Maybe you can explain it to me. He ends up behind her.
Yeah, because he's crafty.
Yeah, but like...
in that big truck that makes so much noise.
That's my thing.
From literally a mile down the road.
It's a huge truck. It's like a one-path dirt road.
It's literally in the middle of the night. There's nothing around, maybe barring bugs.
Yeah, that's what... So what I didn't get is, how does he end up behind her? Like, how can you, like, justify that she loses him that much that he's behind her now?
I know. But so, now she's the prey. She's getting chased now by this guy. Before, she was kind of following him. Now he's behind her. And she just tries to drive on through, and I believe she's trying to load her gun, too. Right? She's trying to cock her gun.
Well, she's getting ready to cock the gun, and that's when the guy sticks his hand out his window, and he's holding the bullets, and he just drops all the bullets.
Yeah.
And then she opens it, and she's like, son of a bitch, I have no gun, no bullets. Which makes you realize he doesn't actually know she was there up until this point. So it's like he took the bullets out in case someone actually was there. So he's always one step ahead.
And then she hits a rough patch.
Yeah, a very rough patch, because he rams her off the road, and she flips over about 16 times.
And the car is flipped over, overturned, and then the killer parks his truck. Mary's kind of like getting out of the bottom of the truck that is now inflamed. Obviously, if she was covered in blood before... Actually, I don't think she was covered in blood.
No, she wasn't.
Well, she's covered in blood now.
Yeah, a lot of blood. She crawls out, and she finds this, like, greenhouse?
Yeah, it's a bunch of, like, dilapidated greenhouses.
Yeah, and she gets this...
It's like a cloth bandage, right?
Yeah, to, like, kind of...
wrap the wound on her arm that's bleeding profusely.
And then she makes a Mick Foley-esque weapon where she gets this, like, wood...
This wooden post,
yes,
right?
A wood post, and wraps barbed wire around it.
And she knows that the killer's here because she sees him walk in with a flashlight.
Yes, and this is a very clever scene. Now, the scene coming up, I really like... So she sees the flashlight, so she's sneaking up to the flashlight, and when she goes to attack, she realizes it's just a flashlight being held by a string,
it's just
swaying. And that's when he attacks her from behind.
Yeah, and he takes this plastic wrap and just tightly wraps her head in it, which would be terrifying to film if you're anybody. Like, some random guy that has me wrapped in this, like, plastic wrap and I have no control over this.
There's always certain scenes, like, when I see a movie, it's like, man, if I was an actor, actress, I would hate to do that. Anything like that, or, like, having to be tight underwater.
Like that gets me. Like, the one that always freaks me out is Strom in Saw 5 when he's in the box with water.
The water head.
Like, anything goes wrong, like, you're dead.
Just stuck. Exactly.
Yeah, you're done.
It's terrifying. He's strangling her.
She is struggling for her life.
So she's looking for any way to stop him, and she can't find anything, so she just drops. I'm thinking she's dead. I mean, it looks like that.
So when she drops, he takes the straight razor he has, that he's been using this entire movie, and he runs it slowly across her stomach, like lifting up her shirt. He eventually moves it up towards her neck and starts to press it, like, against her earring. And then he does something that we've been mentioning so much in these weekly episodes. He puts his fingers in her mouth.
Reoccurring theme for everything we watch.
And he gets him deep in there.
He asks Marie if Alex turns her on.
Yeah.
Because Alex turns him on.
And he's, like, laughing. He's maniacally laughing.
Yes.
He's a psycho.
And it's at this point, then, Marie finally finds something. She finds a meaty rock, and she just drills him in the side of the head with it.
And boy, does she catch him gushing blood out of the side of his head. Like.
And then she beats the ever-loving shit out of his face.
That's true.
She gets the barbed wire bat, whacks him in the head, and then in another gross scene, yanks it out, and you see the skin kind of like pull, and then she hits him, it has to be 10 times, in the face.
And, like, even, like, we're talking, like, overhand hits, like, to the face.
Yes, because he falls down with the plastic covering now over his face, and she's just wailing on it. I mean, wailing on it so hard when she thinks he's dead, and she goes to see, it's stuck. The plastic is stuck to his face. It kind of peels off.
Peels back, yeah, because his face is just so it's like just mushed flesh.
Yes.
She makes a mistake here because she gets too close to try to hear if he's breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what, Marie? He is.
So he's trying to choke her, but she's now suffocating him with the plastic.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of who can suffocate who first.
But she wins this battle. She exhales with her anger and her fury. She's just screaming and then starts sobbing.
And at this moment, you're like, she won. She's going to go free Alex, and she won. But then you realize there's about 25 minutes left of runtime on the film. We pan back to the gas station where the police arrive. And the police get the videotape from the camera where the guy looked directly at. But what do we see on that videotape?
We see something quick. We see Jimmy go to get Latour's alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And as he turns around to give him the alcohol, Latour's not there.
No.
We see Marie charge in with the wooden axe and just guts him.
And then she stares directly into the camera. So everything that we had seen Latour do, Marie had actually done at the gas station because the cops are watching the tape.
She mimicked his behavior on tape.
Now, you're thinking, wait, did Marie do these things and Latour watched? Does Latour exist?
Well, he's not seen her, but she's seen him. So, a lot of questions here.
Because normally, you're like, oh, alright, so it has been Marie this whole time? But then you realize Marie just had a scene where it was just her and Latour fighting.
She was chasing him through the woods with a car.
Yes. So you're like, okay, what's going on? So then we go back to Marie, where she returns to the truck. She unchains Alex, because now she has the key. Alex is just like, get away from me.
Get away from me. You're crazy. You're crazy. Just please go away. And then Marie's kind of like, it's over. It's over, Alex.
I killed him.
She's like, don't you touch me.
You murdered my family.
She's like, he's dead. I killed him. And then Marie kind of backpedals out of the truck. And she mentions that now he'll never harm them again.
And now, at this point, you realize Marie's been doing this the entire time.
Yeah.
Once Alex yells, you murdered my family, it all starts to make sense. If you go back to the house, it's shot well where...
Okay, yeah, so where Marie is outside and she's the only one out there, while Alex's family is sleeping and she's smoking the cigarette.
And you don't see her technically open the door to go inside. It just pans back to the swing, and she's not at the swing.
She's in the house.
So... watching everything happen when she goes back in the house, in her mind thinking she's watching it while she's actually doing these killings.
We're going to go deeper too into this, but you know that she has dual personalities.
Yes. Sometimes it's done well, sometimes I have some questions about it. We'll get into that when we finish this part.
Exactly.
At this point then, Alex has the knife, she slices Marie's face, and then Alex runs away. I absolutely love this part of the film. Marie then goes into the passenger seat, and she grabs, what would you say? It's a giant circular saw, right?
It's a buzzsaw.
Buzzsaw? Okay.
Yeah.
So a giant buzzsaw. And then she starts chasing Alex with the buzzsaw. And now this is what I love. It splits shots between Marie, when she's saying nice things to Alex, chasing her as Marie.
Yeah.
And then when it's like, I'm going to get you, you bitch, it makes it Latour again.
You don't really see his face. It's always, he has the cap on throughout the whole movie. He's got the sunglasses.
Yeah.
He's got the glare. You see his eyes, and his eyes are bulging.
Yes.
He is running after her.
Because he, even though he's not real, it's established, he still has all the effects of like getting beaten with like the barbed wire bat and stuff. And this scene is just crazy because they're running through the woods. It's panning between being Marie, being Latour, and Alex is just running.
Marie even says that they both want her. She like acknowledges their dual personalities.
Exactly.
Which is interesting.
So this is another cool part. Alex runs into the street, slaps the car window like Marie did in the dream.
Very beginning of the movie with the dream sequence.
And she's screaming for this guy to help her. He lets her in the car, and in typical horror movie fashion, the car will not start.
Classic. He's like in like a mini ditch or something, and he can't kind of get out of it. And then what do you see, Shane? What do you see, you son of a...
You see Marie come out of the forest with the giant buzzsaw and climbs from the trunk over the top and just saws the front windshield in probably the bloodiest scene in the film.
Oh, yeah. Because, is it Latour or is it Marie at this point? I think it's Latour.
It is Latour, but they're the same person.
So it's this poor driver who's in wrong place,
wrong time. Yeah, talking about wrong place at the wrong time.
Getting just absolutely crushed.
And this is a scene I was talking about where something unintentional happens that was left in the film. The saw is going through the windshield, and it's like slicing the guy's chest, but not like deep enough to like kill him. So he's like alive. Well, there's blood shooting into the back into Alex. There's blood shooting on the windshield. So there's also a camera to film this. The camera gets splashed with blood.
It gets soaked.
Unintentionally. But the director liked that shot so much, he left it in the film.
I also heard something about, like, that camera was, like, used for other projects. Mm-hmm. And when the guy went to use it for another project, it leaked the blood that was in from high tension.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's actually really cool. After all of this guy is just being absolutely massacred, she gets out of the car and starts crawling. And at this point, you're like, why didn't she just get up and run? And that's what do you realize?
There's a large shard of glass stuck deep, right, I guess, where her Achilles is.
Yeah, it's directly in the Achilles heel. And that's another, like, cringe, like, because she takes it out.
That's one scene I always, like, when I'm thinking about Hostel, when they slice his Achilles.
Or, like, Pet Cemetery, when they slice...
That's always a tough scene. But she slowly pulls it out, and she's screaming, and she's crawling backward in pain now. And you just see the killer, he's, like, approaching her, revving up that buzzsaw. Mm-hmm.
And then Marie's like, do you love me?
You don't love me, do you? Again, it's flashing between the killer and Marie.
Because when Alex is just crawling away at this point, that's when she starts turning into Latour again. Because she's like, you don't love me.
Yeah.
You don't... And then Alex is trying, I love you, I love you. She turns back into Marie, and she leans down, and they have a bloody kiss, to say the least.
I guess this would be our passion bump segment of the episode.
Are we actually going to call this a passion bump?
This is our passion bump segment. Hit it. Shane, what you got there?
Oh, just my wiggling finger.
Ooh, why is it wiggling, Shane?
Well, because something's getting a little hot over here.
What do you mean?
A little... Ow! Passion bump! Passion bump! Passion bump! My G.
But no, this is not a passion bump.
No, definitely not. It's a passionate moment for Marie, but not for the audience, and not for Alex.
No, she kind of begrudgingly does it. And why does she begrudgingly does it? Shane, is a bitch.
She begrudgingly does it to save her life, and also because she has the knife that she thrusts into Marie's chest, right?
Right through her chest.
Yeah. We pan back out, and we go to the hospital that we start the movie in. You hear Marie constantly repeating one phrase. I won't let anyone come between us anymore.
Nothing will ever come between us again. Nothing will ever come between us again. And she was saying this at the very beginning of the movie, too. Non-stop. And then you see Alex, who's kind of observing her behind the glass of the mental institution. She asked, I guess, you don't really see the orderly or the nurse. Yeah. And she says, she can't see me, right? You just see Marie kind of...
The only jump scare of the film.
Yeah, she's like, extends her arms out.
Yeah, it does that. It does that kind of like... It makes a quick noise, and she extends her arms at the glass.
Give me a hug.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the screen goes black, and the film ends.
What a way to end the film.
Wild. So, this is a psych thriller in the sense where, like, you're getting multiple personalities as the killer.
It's a psych thriller masquerading as just a slasher film.
Oh, for sure.
Because the whole time you think it's just a slasher. You think it's just a guy tormenting these girls and the family. But it turns out the guy never existed. It was Marie the whole time. Now, that leads me to certain things I like I said earlier, where, like, Marie is always, like, the passenger in the house, where she's always watching but not interacting, and that's obviously just in her mind, she's watching it but actually doing the actions.
Yeah.
But then leads to questions I have, where it's like, normally you don't see the two personalities actually confront and fight with no one there. So, like, that whole greenhouse scene, I get, is probably symbolizing, like, her fighting her dual personality. But it's, like, it's weird to see it, because you don't normally see it like that.
People have a lot of questions. People criticize the ending of this movie, believe it or not. They don't think that it's possible for her to have the chase scene in the sports car and him in the truck. They don't think that it's possible that the scene where he's, like, she's repeatedly beating Latour in the head with the bat.
Well, yeah, that's the scene I'm referring to.
She's, like, was she hitting herself in the head with the bat?
Exactly. See, the car one, I think I could rationalize. So the car one could be almost like the dream, where she says it's her running away from her.
So it's just her driving the truck.
It's just her driving the truck, but in her mind, she's being chased by who she actually is. So that one makes sense, because it almost relates to the dream of her chasing her. But I do agree, it's like, when they're actually fighting, like, because she is bloody. how does her car flip over, or like how did the whole greenhouse scene play out? It's like those are the questions I actually do have.
My thoughts, just initially, I want to delve deep into some of the theories that I have. I just want to say I gave this movie a 7 out of 10.
I will also just throw it out there while we're just on it, so I don't have to get back to it. I also gave it a 7 out of 10.
Like I said, I don't think it's the best movie I've ever seen. It's definitely one of the better new age slashers, I think.
Yeah.
It's very tense. The music is very good. I like the ending, despite some criticism. I think it was very cool. It's very thought-provoking. And don't you love movies that really make you think?
Yeah, of course.
Some other things to mention. I think the lead actress, Cecile de France, was really good. I think Philip Nahan as the killer is just a tour de force. He's incredible.
Yeah, he's terrifying. He doesn't speak, but he's terrifying.
I think it's his lack of empathy, his subtle brutality. It's refreshing. I like it. Nothing cliche. It's really original.
I mean, he doesn't exist, and that's probably why you don't know anything about him. But not knowing anything about him was creepy in and of itself.
Exactly. And think about his weapon of choice. Like, it's
just a straight razor.
Straight razor. Like, you have, like, machetes. You have, think of, like, all these horror movies that they use as their weapons, like swords and machetes, knives.
Knife glove.
Exactly. A little sphere that turns into this weird rotating
column of
doom.
Chains and hooks.
But he comes in with this straight razor, and this thing cuts so deep. Yeah. Like, it's crazy.
It's like scalpel sharp.
So here's what I'm thinking, Shane. I have a couple of thoughts. Why does she choose this guy as her split personality?
Maybe because her actual person, she couldn't say how she felt to Alex, so she needed someone with no empathy to get rid of all obstacles just to confess her love in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you got for me?
So, you know, after the dream sequence they're riding in, you see him getting the head in the car?
Yes, from the head.
So, you know, they say, like, if you're having a dream, you can't see someone in your dream that you've never seen before.
Correct. I have heard
She
that.
visualizes the guy in the car, and it's the same guy in the car at the end of the movie.
What do you mean?
The guy that's driving the car. It's the same guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
I think she's like, I don't know if she's seen these characters before, or she's like actually materializing them. We are getting the story from her viewpoint.
Exactly, yeah. She's a very unreliable narrator, obviously.
Exactly, and what we did not mention, and is very important, and at the beginning of the movie, they're actually recording her testimony.
That's right.
So she's giving her state of events from the whole movie, and she could be lying about things. But what I'm saying is, it's either that she's seen this killer there before, or she materialized him in her head somehow and gave him this persona, you know, this kind of like you don't really see his face. And that's how she kind of created him. And I did some research, and a lot of people, and rightfully so, they think that the killer is like a representation of her unrepressed desires, because he's like lashing out, killing the family, you know, because she wants to be alone with Alex, isolated.
Which is what I was saying. Since she herself couldn't do it, that's why she manifested the second personality that was no empathy, can get everything out of her way to just be with Alex.
Exactly. So we're thinking this guy's like a representation of her sexual frustration, and it's kind of like lashing out. It's interesting, like the scene where she's masturbating, she stops masturbating as the killer comes, and then the killer just starts killing. She gets a little recourse, and then it's like killing.
Which is what's interesting, because she probably never actually masturbated in the film. I would assume that was probably in her head, because in her mind at the beginning, she goes from sitting outside smoking to upstairs masturbating. What it looks like now is she went from sitting outside smoking to murdering the family. Because I don't think she would go inside to go back outside to ring the doorbell.
Yeah, but they need to show her masturbating.
Oh, no. Yeah. But what I'm saying is she didn't actually do it. It was just in her head.
Yeah. And I have another thing for you. Whose head was that he was giving head to? It kind of looked, I could be wrong, it kind of looked like Alex.
It could. I mean, that would make sense.
This is a theory that no one has suggested. It kind of looked like it to me. I don't know.
I'm sure someone suggested it somewhere.
So, you know, when I watched this with you years ago, it was on our first list.
It was on our first list. Our French horror category.
I thought that it was actually, she created 3 personalities. I thought Alex was one of her personalities. Okay. Until the very end, when you see Alex there, seeing her through the glass. Because the beginning, when she's like, it's me chasing after me, and then Alex is running through the forest representing her, I'm like, okay, there are 3 people. I think that it's like, obviously the guy is the sexually frustration part of her. Yeah. That she can't get what she wants, so she's lashing out. This is like a story of her kind of coming out of the closet, so she's like very confused, and with the other girl representing like the desire. So it's like she's lashing out what she wants, she can't get what she wants, even though she's trying to come out, she's getting very distraught, receding back to Latour. Interesting. But that's wrong, obviously, because Alex is real. That's confirmed.
Yeah, obviously, by the end of the film.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that this movie actually is pretty understandable. I just think it's interesting that if you think about it, she could be making events up.
Oh yeah, of course.
If she's being recorded for the whole events, I guess
you can't. That's the problem with interviewing someone like that. You can't believe what they say because they could, one, be lying, or two, think they're telling the truth, but it's their own truth.
Exactly.
But like I said earlier, the whole fight between the two of them, it is tough to explain that with like the swing of the bat, the choking of each other. It's like little things like that why I took points away from a higher grade for the movie. But overall, it is a really good film.
I think we're simpatico here. One more thing. What if, and this really doesn't change much about the movie, but Latour never really existed. Obviously, he never existed.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, what if it was just her doing all the killing in general, and she never created a split personality, but just mentioned it in the recording and just lied about the whole Latour part?
That would be interesting.
For insanity plea.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something to think about. It's totally plausible. But in any case, it kind of amounts to the same thing. So.
Exactly, yeah. That was our review on High Tension, which we both thought was a good film with some faults, but 7 out of 10 is not bad.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's not as good as some of the other French films we want to get to later on, like Inside. I personally, Inside's awesome, and then...
Dude, there's so many good French horror films. You're talking about the Masters of Blood here. They really are. We just watched Climax. How intense was that?
I absolutely love Climax. Irreversible was my favorite Gaspar Noé film until I saw Climax. It's all this dancing and nothingness set up. It's not nothingness. Shouldn't say it that way. But what it leads to.
You learn so much about the characters and those small interactions.
I know.
That builds and builds and builds.
Everything that happens in the last 50 minutes plays off of things they said. It's so crazy. But that's...
It climaxes.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. But that's a conversation for another time.
One more thing before we go. This director really liked the 1980 movie Maniac. So that whole restroom scene
was
derivative of the Maniac.
Yeah.
And then I believe Freddy, I think he directed the Maniac remake.
Really?
Yeah.
Alright, that's actually cool. I actually want to see the Maniac remake.
No, not Freddy. Jimmy created...
Oh, Jimmy, yeah.
Jimmy created the Maniac remake.
I don't know why I said Freddy agreeing with you. But yeah, no, Jimmy, I actually want to see that remake. The original was good, but not great.
Yeah, it's I appreciate some things about it. I think some things were kind of cheesy.
Yeah, it's your 1980s cheese.
It really is. Like, that's the greatest way.
Yeah.
And I kind of like 1980s cheese. I love 1980s slasher
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh.
You get that narrator that's just like 5 kids in the woods. What could go wrong?
Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, all those movies like that. Incredible. It's incredible. Next week, we decided to do not a slasher, not a blood movie at all. It's a suspense movie, I would consider it.
Suspense is putting it lightly. It's kind of like a slow burn building up in the beginning, but man, I've never felt so much awkwardness watching a movie. Like, I was awkward for the characters in the movie.
Yes. The movie we were doing next will be The Invitation.
The Invitation. And it's a movie that we've referenced earlier on this podcast, and it's a different movie. It's obviously cult affiliated, which is always interesting.
Yeah.
Because, we always think of like monsters and ghouls, but it's like the horror of human beings and how warped a mind can get and how it can brainwash other minds. Very creepy.
I'm looking forward to getting to that one.
And we will have our first guest star on Two Guys, One
So it is official. He's coming on?
It is official. My brother, Damon, will be joining us next week.
All right. So you will be hearing 3 voices on the next episode.
3 guys, 1 book.
Ooh, spooky. We are 2 guys, 1 Necronomicon signing off, and we will see you next week at the dinner party.
This is it for 2 Guys, 1 Necronomicon. Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to visit our Twitter page, our Facebook page. Follow us, give us a like. We'd love to hear from you and talk horror movies.